Hi, I'm Kelly Beck and I'm going to be doing Grant's problem. So Grant did problem 334 and it talks about a wall of a refrigerator. So it has fiberglass insulation, and it gives the K, and 2 layers of 1 mm thick sheet metal, and it also provides the K. It gives us temperature of the inside refrigerated space, and then the average heat transfer coefficients for inner and outer surfaces. And then it also gives the temperature of the kitchen. So we need to make sure that the outer surface temperature doesn't drop to 20 degrees Celsius. And to do this, it wants us to determine the minimum thickness of fiberglass that it needs to be in order to avoid condensation on the outside. So I used the picture provided, and then I wrote down all of the knowns it gave us, and we're finding thickness, which is L. So I assumed the steady state 1D, constant R and H, and no heat generation. So then I drew out this little diagram of all the resistances and wrote down some equations. So total resistance, each of the individual resistance, and then I did R total and as well as R total for unit area, since we know that's going to be part of the equation. So then you have the heat, or the rate of heat, with that equation there. And so yeah, then once from there I just solved for R total per area, and I got this value here after plugging in all of our knowns. And you still have the thickness as a variable there, an unknown variable. And then you go to the heat rate equation and plug in your knowns as well, and I got 36 watts per meter squared. Then we go back into the Q dot equation for the total. Since this first one here, we only used our resistance 1 so that we could use our known temperatures to get the rate. And then once we plug in all of the equations we have for the second rate equation, you can just set it equal to the previous known value that we found. And once you do some simplification, you can eventually solve for L. And I got 8.75 millimeters. So some differences that Grant and I had were our assumptions. I added no heat gen. But everything else, the way we solved the problem, was pretty much the same. However, I did do resistance for unit area, whereas he did not do that. But seeing as we get the same answer, we know that the answer is correct and that both ways work. So we decided to just keep our answers the same.